The light not on. Now we'll have a state. No, por allá. I can't believe. There's no parking. I know. I thought oh, she was coming with me. Yeah. Some people email. Like, hopefully I make it before the professor this time. Like, so that means you from faster than me. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, but I was, I got several emails and I just said, but, I thought you were gonna cancel, like, to go through Zoom. I'm like, oh, she's gonna spend up so late because when it's bad, I'm like, okay, no, she did. I thought about that, and then I thought that then the one that's there. Yeah, and then it started going back bad again. Yeah, it's kind of up and down today, I guess. Yeah. And it's gonna be really cold tomorrow and Thursday. And then, the other thing too is that, we have some things, we supposed to, like, just some things that revenue board responsibility to support what we're working on, phonological awareness. And those kinds of things are not possible on Zoom. No matter how grateful it's really good for some things, but not for everything. Well, actually, that's what I was thinking about one of the classes that I have. I have special 301. Okay. And I can special, like, there are some classes that you have to be, yes, that, because sometimes you have many questions to make, and I'm like, it's not the same as, like, yeah, there are just some things that Zoom is not good for. I'm not pleased. Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know that I don't That's what it is. Then that would be an opportunity. And then I'm actually very much. So, what's the your partner for today? So, we started from what kind of when last week. So, we work together to types, different types of ways to keep the first one. We work together in groups of three. We looked at different ways of teaching, different parts of the performance. Now we want it to be balance of the other. What we are going to do after definite information. So today definitely is going to be working on. So I'm actually planning at the end of the learning. So reflecting out of it. That's why I'm going to look at the science of reading and what you said to me. I did say if you cannot explain it in your own words, it means you have not understood it. Do you believe that? Anything you cannot explain by yourself, in your own words, it means you don't have to explain. If you are looking for somebody else to, looking for other people's words to describe it, that means you have not yet understood it. And what that means is that you have to go back and watch the video post. Either watch the video, say to yourself, what do I understand by this? You know, and begin to think about your own understanding of what it is that you're trying to teach. And it's with everything, because I'm trying to learn from new things too. And if I cannot say it in my own words, then I say it, I don't. And I don't have to go back and relearn it and really understand what I'm trying to do. So that is such a key part. But we are going to work on phonological awareness first, and then we'll go into is this like any activity we will have to do with that? Yeah, we're doing activity for phonological awareness. Can I begin? Yes, please. Okay. Hello. In my class, it's 4 5-year-olds. They're all 4 actually. Well, no, one just turned 5. It's pre-K, the year before kindergarten, and we always have a group meeting. We call it our morning meeting, and there's always a morning message. So I wanted to show you just examples of the morning message. The line leader of the day gets to use a pointer. It's very much like this, and they, as they point to each word, we read it. Most of the kids cannot read it independently, but this year there are 2 that can. But the kids are already, they know that this group of letters is 1 word, this is 1 word. So this one's filled with rhymes. Hello, yellow. My classroom is called the yellow room. Hello, yellow. It's Monday, fun day. At the park, we will play in the dark. Then we'll all laugh at that. I was throwing in another rhyme, park in dark. Then we'll take a look at a really great book. And I left my first letter out. I said, I'll say like, kid, what is the heart a symbol for? And I'll say love, and I'll say, love, empathy. And they laugh. And I'll say, what sound is missing? What letter is missing? And the line either with or without help will fill in. So writing is a fun way to build phonics. In this morning message, good morning, friends. Uday is Tuesday. Again, I left out letters and sounds, and they can figure this out at home. Most of them, I know, can say, no, it's today, and you need a T. Or they'll say, you need took. And our line leader is Onya. Sonia would put her letter S in, and then I'll say, and now it says, today is sunny. And they're like, no, it doesn't, because they know that letters build words and words build statements or sentences. And these are shapes. So this is an example of little tricks we throw in. And I had one other one. And in this one, I would start pointing down here and read from the bottom, or I would say something is wrong with this message. And I would start at the bottom and they would be able to tell me that's not how you read. You start at the top. So already they know these things. And in my class, I co-teach with Sharon. So I'll ask them and I'll switch up the order, but the message is from and I'll say, which teacher is it from? And they know Bethany, that's me. And SH, the blend of those letters makes the sh sound, and that is Sharon. So there's a lot of things we can do just in this small piece of our morning meeting. It's a morning message. Our morning meeting always starts with a greeting. And we can play with names and the beginning and end sounds. These are name cards. We keep these in the writing center, and I just brought a few to show you. This greeting would go like this. It begins with and it ends with Adley. Put it together and it says Radley. It begins with and it ends with Abel. Put it together and it says Mabel. Get the idea. Say it with me. It begins with and it ends with Ika. Put it together and it says Micah. It begins with O and it ends with Una. Put it together and it says Luna. It begins with J and it ends with F. Put it together and it says Jen. Another greeting is where you clap the syllables. And I don't necessarily even call them syllables at this level. I just call them parts. And we'll say, clap a friend's name with me, name with me, name with me, clap a friend's name with me, let's clap. It's Monday. How many parts did you hear? Monday, yeah, 3 parts. So clap a friend's name with me, name with me, name with me, clap a friend's name with me, let's clap Gladys. Gladys. Should we keep going? One every name. Clap a friend's name with me, name with me, name with me, clap a friend's name with me, let's clap Mandy. And how many parts? 2. Okay, how about God, 2. I didn't even, I don't. And Alex, right? And in June, 2 parts. Help me with names. I don't remember. Okay. Jackie. Yes. So it's interactive. So you can choose that as a reading. It takes a while to go through the entire class, but they're moving a little bit, they're clapping, it's fun. Let's see. Okay, other group activities. I'm gonna let you guys do this like they're the students. I'm gonna give you a Post-it note with the letter, and you have to think, what sound does the letter make? And you get up and you have to
put this on something in the room that starts with this sound. A little bit trickier in here because when we do this in my classroom, it's filled with materials. But table, there you go. So good luck with some of these. I'm not sure. You might have things that you brought. Maybe you have something in your backpack that starts with this letter sound. Maybe it's you.
Yeah,
Maybe it's you. Maybe it's your name. But this is just like an ABC sound search in the classroom, and all you need are some Post-it notes. And then your whole classroom is covered and labeled with little notes all around on the furniture, the toys. So when you have an idea of something, just get up and label it. Okay, like, here, I have an L, ooh, laptop. So, anybody? And in the classroom, when I do this, once the kids put theirs down, they come to me and I give them another. I just keep it going for a few minutes, you know, because some are quicker than others, and some need help. They're looking around, or they're not sure what sound their letter makes, so we can take time. But really, you guys have to get up and label something.
Okay, I label myself, I got a G.
Okay. Yeah, B for book.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. A folder,
I think how I do that.
Oh,
I put it on friends.
B for computer, great. Okay, are you stuck? Hello? Yeah, K. K. I understand. No. Can I get a different?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. There you go. Okay. So that's ABC search with Post-its. Zip line letters. I think I found this like.
Hold on.
This cards.
Kick in the card, starting with 10.
You know what? Oh, this card has a K.
Oh, I see.
That's why All right. Thank you. These, I made these zip line letters. I just added blue lines to little letters and put paper clips on them. And if I have a yarn string like strung on an angle, the idea is that they would zip line down as they make that sound, like or as I tried it, these didn't like slide down the yarn like they should. But you could let kids take one and walk across the room as they make the sound. So that's zip line letters. The name game. We just did this last week. Words that rhyme and the same. Let's make a rhyme with your name. Baby, baby, Sadie, lady. Or, Jackie, Backy, Lacky, Matt. So we said this over and over and rhymed, let kids rhyme to their own name, or we would help them. And if they needed help, sometimes we would say, Jack. Well, we put the letter there, and it's a nonsense word. It doesn't matter. They're just rhyming and playing with sounds. Next was the letter. These are letter cards with motions. It's a great way. I think one of our homework assignments asked, what way do we best learn? And I'm guessing many of you said that you learn by doing. And young children definitely do. So stand up, class, everybody. K. Oh, right. So I would say the letter name and then the sound and then the motion. K, K, K. And now we can say it together. K, K, K. W, look, wait. W, look. I, if, itch.
Everybody knows that.
Right. R, run. Y, yeah, no. It's definitely that kind of day. That's why. T, so I have multiple sets of these, that go through the entire alphabet with different motions. We have multiple versions of letter matching games. So this we would use in the winter. These are mittens, and we have uppercase and lowercase letters. So every child gets one mitten and they have to find their match. That's mittens. This one is eggs. So these fit together like a puzzle. When you find the upper and lowercase match, you know the color matches and they also fit together. We have done an ABC hunt in the neighborhood. You just take a paper plate and you write the alphabet. You cut these tabs and you write a letter on each tab. And my school's in downtown Evanston, so like a half a block from us, there are a bunch of stores. And there's street signs and traffic signs. So we walk around and kids get excited when they find a letter and then they fold it in when they find it. And so, you know, if they say, I found a V, you know, or if it's a stop sign, I found an S. We can all stop for a minute, make the sound, talk about what do you think it says, or sometimes, I mean, a lot of kids just know the symbol of a stop sign. They know that means stop. But at a storefront, they'll want to know what does it say? And so we'll take a minute, and it's easy to make. They can take it home and do it again with their families. We sing a lot of songs that show that you can replace one word with another. And so this is to the tune of Who Stole the Cookie from the Cookie Jar? Who picked the apple from the apple tree? And then we have a set of apples, each student's name is on them and also the teacher names. So Micah picked the apple from the apple tree. He says, who, me? You say, yes, you. Couldn't be, then who? And I would have these down, face down, and he'd pick one and put it in that place and we'd sing it again. When we had our curriculum night last week, parents came. It's a new way that we do it. It's much better. We used to, as teachers, have to sit and tell all the parents all about our curriculum, but now it's bring your parent to school night so their kids get to come along, and it really lightens the load for the teachers. But we had apples that said the parents picked the apple from the apple tree. So again, it's just understanding that this word can be replaced, that each word has meaning. Another song with lots of rhymes that you might know is Down by the Bay. A lot of kids know that one. You guys know it? Does everybody know? No. Okay, Down by the class. Will you fill in the rhyme when I get to the rhyme part? I don't know this one. All right, we'll do it together. Down by the bay, where the watermelon grows, back to my home, I dare not go. Or if I do, my mother would say, Have you ever seen a pig wearing a wing? Yes. Down by the bay where the water mountains grow, back to my home, I dare not go. Or if I do, my mother would say, have you ever seen a cat wearing a hat? Or, oh, this one, did you ever see a dragon pulling a wagon? Did you ever see a bear combing his hair? You could go on and on with that and make up silly rhymes with animals, named animals.
That's the song from Cocomelon show. Like that's what I heard.
I think, yeah, I brought a few books. These are from a series, the Alphabet Mystery Books by Audrey and Bruce Wood. My class really loves them. I don't know, I think there's at least 4 in the series. And then, lots of rhyming books are out there. Is Your Mama a Llama? Is a popular one. And then, this is called LMNOPs, PEASPs. We are peas, the alphabet peas. We work and play in the ABCs. We're acrobats, artists, and astronauts in space. We're builders, bathers, and bikers in a race. We're climbers, campers. He's a curious clown. We're dancers and drivers around town. We're eaters, electricians, and explorers searching for land. We're farmers, platters, and best friends in a thing. We're gardeners, gigglers, givers, and takers. We're hikers, inventors, and investigators. We're judges and jugglers. We're kickers, kayakers, and some of us are kings. We're listeners, miners, and neighbors right next door. We're nurses, officers, and outlaws, taking more. We're painters, poets, and plumbers fixing leaks. We're pilots, parachutists. We're peas, and we're unique. We're quilters, quarterbackers, and readers. We're scientists, swimmers, and sailors on the seas. We're truckers, teachers. We're underwater divers, voters, vets, and volunteers. We're weavers, wishers, and X-ray doctors too. We're yogis in a pose. Zoologists, that's who. We are peas from A to Z. Now, tell us, please, who are you? I think that's it.
The book Chicka Boom Boom.
Yeah.
So, it has to be the alphabet, different letters, different. So I want to put it back to the class. We did some of these last week. We looked at in your small groups, we looked at different types of activities that could be used to develop phonological awareness. So which of these did you have? Did any of your groups have? Which of
I know, I'm sorry, I missed that.
does anybody remember what you had in your group? That matching something?
We have syllables.
Okay, you have to
When
go
we're
to
doing
the
the
classic, yes.
Go to the class.
I remember what Gladys said last week. Do we say syllables sequence? And remember I said, no, we don't say that because it's a big word for things. But, you know, I like the way that Bethany's class does it in different parts of the word. So that's really good.
And then that ideas like,
Yeah.
and then especially the ones like on the blackboard, it's like, the rhyming.
The rhyming, yes.
Okay. And the one backwards, like, so the kids, because usually when you make a routine, like they already know what's the beginning of what's the end.
Right, good. And I remember, Alex, your group had the hopscotch last week. and you can ask kids to jump to different parts to see what the hopscotch was, or how many syllables were in the hopscotch. How about the other groups? Which of these activities resonated with what you saw last week, or what your group had? Anybody? Another group?
We had alliteration.
Yes.
But both kind of thrown.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. How about your group partner? What did you have in your group? You had listening reading. Okay, good. Yes.
The Monday.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's good. Jackie, your group had blending, I think. Was that what you had? Okay. So we'll talk more about blending when we get to fun. So we talked about nursery rhymes last week too. Do you remember some of these songs that you can sing with nursery rhymes? Do you remember some of the nursery rhymes that we had in the past week? Anyone else, apart from the one that you picked from the session? He was working on that by the day. How about some of the other ones? Humpty Dumpty, exactly, yes. Sat on the wall. Thank you so much, Bethany. And
There was the video.
okay, the video. Yes, yes, the bingo song. Okay. Any other nursery rhymes come to mind? I really just read that. Yeah.
Yeah, they.
It's okay, yes, yes, we looked at that too on the video. Do you remember any other nursery rhymes? Not very many. I mentioned that not many schools teach nursery rhymes anymore, which is really sad, unfortunately. I really think you could reintroduce it back to your own classroom, because they are really, really great ways to learn about rhymes and about what rhymes take place. And, they sing these songs and they grew up with the songs, they remember the songs, and they can actually identify the rhymes in the songs. Anybody, do you remember any of the nursery rhymes we talked about? Okay, picture that look the same. I'm sorry. Back, picture of the back. Match with another pictures like that. Okay, yes, I remember your group doing that. You and Claudia, right? Yeah, where you looked at you could look at a particular word and then you have to decide then other word amongst the words that you already have that matches, so that rhymes with that. Okay, so let me put back this question to the class. What's rhyming? What did you say rhyming words? The same ending. How is it different from alliteration?
First letter.
Okay, good, exactly. So rhymes do not occur at the beginning, at the end. They occur at the end. So I wanted you to be sure about that. But when you have the same sound starting at the beginning, that is what alliteration is. But the rhyming actually takes place at the end of the word. All right. So that's really good. Okay. So let us talk about the science of reading. Hi. Let's talk about the science of reading. So tell me what your challenges were with this assignment. Oh, let's not do the challenges first. Let's do the good part first. So what did you learn from this, from just reading more and rewatching the videos about the science of reading?
Well, I think about the video, like when the I mean, in Scarborough.
Yes, Scarborough. Yeah, that's good. You remember
when you talk about the strength, like it says in the coding, it has to be the strongest language of comprehension.
Okay.
In order to have a strong, reading
comprehension. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So Gladys has we talk about, I don't know whether you know this phrase, bell the cat. Does anybody know what that phrase is? Huh? You've never heard the phrase bell the cat? So this is a group of mice, okay? And they decide, and you know what happens between cats and mice. Okay, good. So mice are lunch for cats. So now the mice got together and they said, who is going to bell the cat? And what that means is who's going to put a bell on the cat? So when the cat is coming, we know and we can run away. So when you bell the cat, it's a very tough, as you know, that's a very tough thing for a mouse to do, right?
So possible.
Exactly. So, but anyway, for very difficult tasks, we always say who's going to bell the cat. So Gladys has already belled the cat because she did, she put up her hand first and she talked about the science of reading. So she's already done it. Now it's open to the class. She belled the cat. Go ahead.
I took away that there are a couple parts of this process that are developed in the brain, but other parts are not. So it is important for teachers to understand that you must develop instruction to develop this in the brain. So it's just not something we're all for.
That's good. Yes. That's really important for everybody to know. And how about the rest of you? Yes, Olivia.
I like mainly was surprised at like how complex reading is because honestly, like, I know how to read, so I haven't thought about it like learning as like a kid. So that was like one of the big takeaways I took, and then how important it is for teachers to teach reading properly all the things that go into reading, and also having like the knowledge to spot potential reading issues or learning disabilities early is really important.
That's really good. And you just really focused on something that I was really hoping that everybody is going to be able to get out of, and that is just the complexity of reading. And we cannot assume. You said something, Olivia, that's really important because you already know how to read. You're probably thinking to yourself, well, how hard can it be? Why is it so hard? They're just trying to make sense of this. They have no clue what this is. And so we have to really think about that and remember that this is an extremely complex skill. It's just like you learning how to drive for the first time or entering into a car. Well, of course, we all grew up, most people grew up going from one place to another in a car. If you're not the one driving, maybe one of your parents is driving you to a place. But just imagine you just sitting at the wheel and you don't know what to do. Of course, you see somebody moving the wheel. You don't know what's happening with the legs. You don't see their legs moving. You don't know that they're pressing something or pressing the other thing. You just know that the car stops when it's supposed to stop. You know that it moves faster when it's supposed to move. So all of that looks like it's very automatic, and yet at the same time it's not because there's so much that's happening. And the person driving also is watching for so many things. You're watching the road, you're making sure that nobody is crossing the street, you're making sure that you're stopping where you're supposed to stop, you're watching for all the signs that are on the poles, on the side, on the rock, on the ground. There are just so many things that are going on when you are learning to drive. And so just think about yourself when you are learning to drive in high school or somewhere, that you have to put all the skills together. All of a sudden you have to see, okay, am I supposed to, can I turn right over here? You have to go and see, is there anything on any pole that says you can make a right turn? Or, don't turn on red, period. And in Canada, you can turn on red, you can make a right turn on red. But in the United States, there are many places where you cannot turn on red. So it's very confusing when you are moving from one country to another to say, okay, am I supposed to turn on red? And people are honking behind you. It's like, go. And you're thinking, no, I'm not supposed to. So there are so many things that are just really happening with driving for us as adults. I remember when you get to go and drive, probably when you were in high school, when they were teaching driver's training or driver's ed. So just think about how you had to put all those skills together in your mind to be able to actually move. And then don't even get me started on the stick shift. How many people can drive stick shift? Can you?
I tried, but like, the guy that was helping me got mad, so like, I turned off like many times.
Yeah. See, I learned how to drive with stick shift. I don't know how quickly I'm going to be able to do that now. You know?
Well, there's sometimes when you learn something that you know.
I mean, maybe after a couple of days, maybe it's going to come back,
Yeah.
but it's just not the same. So you can imagine. So when somebody was suggesting somewhere that the way to make sure that you don't get carjacked is to get a stick shift, I think that that's a really good idea. I don't know if I'm just going to get a stick shift car. So you can imagine that the same thing with little kids who they're watching you read. It's very interesting. They're enjoying it. And then you put it in front of them and they're wondering, what am I supposed to do with this? So you have to really think about how complex it will be for them. So thank you for saying that, Olivia. So how about the rest of the class? Yeah, talk about I feel like you have to focus on not just opening or reading the unit and then the text. I think that's kind of similar to like I read myself. If there's times where I'm like, oh, I'm kind of stuck. So this kind of picturing myself at that. And focusing on building background knowledge is very important for kids because if they don't have the background knowledge, then they don't have the context for what you're teaching, and it's not likely to stick. So you have to build background knowledge, and there are many ways to do that. You can combine experiences of children to build background knowledge. So, for example, you want to talk about baking. They've never experienced baking a baking. Maybe they've had a cake or something, but they've never had such experience baking a cake themselves. They have to see you do it. They have to see how you get all the wet ingredients together, like how many of them are there, and then you do all the dry ingredients, mixing them together, putting them in the pan, and putting it in an oven, and then voila, your cake comes out. So for kids to know what happens and what goes into a cake, yes, you have to give them background knowledge about that. I don't know if you've ever had, if any of you has ever taught in a preschool class where kids don't know, maybe they're year 3, they live in the city, they've never been on a farm, and you ask them, where does milk come from? What do they typically say? Store. They say it comes from the store, yes. If you say it comes from a cow, they look at you as if you're because they don't really know. They just say it comes from the store because they have not seen this experience. It comes from a cow. Well, you better give them an experience about that. It could be by video, or you could actually take them to a farm that's very friendly to kids, and that would allow them to see the process of milking. Then they'll be able to tell you. So that is how you build background knowledge. For books that you want to read, for example, those are things you have to look for ways to build background knowledge, and that is why you cannot read a book just once. You have to read it over and over and over again, and with that you can build more information and background knowledge students. So background knowledge is really key to reading comprehension. So that is something that, and nobody's born with that. So the only experience that we have is the experience that we grew up with. We don't have other experiences. So that is really, really important for us to help children understand and build a background knowledge.
It has like a name, I guess, Samantha.
Sorry?
Samantha. Like, Professor Mushi was talking about that, before.
Oh, semantics?
So, yeah, but like, it says like then something that like, like if you said rights, you can have like, ideas about rights, but then like I can give you like a different background of the word, but like she said a second. We will do it at 5 past 10.
Semantics is what she was saying.
Yeah, so the background.
Yeah. So background knowledge is really, really key. And for me, and I don't know if any of you have ever had this, but when in my background, there were no black beans. It's just always either red or white. Black eyed peas, you either have the white ones or you have the brown ones. But we never had, we never saw black beans. So I was reading about black beans in China, and that it was actually the food that emperors actually ate. And they, in fact, did not allow those who were not in the emperor, like common people, they would not allow them to have black beans. It was just specifically for emperors. And then I was reading about all the nutritional values of black beans. The fiber is a lot more than any of the other types of beans. I was just so fascinated by that I, in all my life, until, in certain point, did not realize that there were even. And now I'm learning that there are just even some other kinds of beans that's none of the colors that we see in the store. The same thing with rice. I never knew that there was black rice. Has anybody seen one? Anybody? Well, I just read about it just a few days ago, that there's black rice. And
When you burn it.
Sorry?
When you burn it.
Yeah.
When you burn it.
So, and then, of course, some of you are probably familiar with wild rice, right? That has just happened. But I heard about black rice and just how nutritious, the nutritional value of it is different from the white rice that we'll probably find.
And wheat, there's white wheat and black. I've never heard about the difference.
Yes, I've never heard about black rice until I was reading this. And I've never seen it either. So I'm thinking, okay, where's this thing and where do they sell it? Because I've never seen one. But it's there, obviously. And then it's somewhere in China. I think it's grown somewhere in China. And then they also talked about red rice. Has anybody ever seen red rice? You have? Jackie, where? Oh, red rice? Yes.
Oh, yes. No, I think that
No. Is there orange color rice?
So you put color on it.
Yeah. The one that you don't color in, I think that's the one that is not naturally occurring. Yeah, that they actually grow. So in China, they can grow black rice and they do grow red rice. And for the life of me, I've never even seen one. So, and so they were talking about how the white rice is not as nutritious, does not have as much nutritional value as the red rice and the black. There is. So that's very interesting. So background knowledge matters. So if I were in a class with a lot of people who grew up in China, where they have experience with all of this, can you see how my background knowledge would not be complete? Because I do not have all the varieties that they probably would be with, that I don't know anything about. So background knowledge matters. It really helps comprehension about what happened.
I'm thinking about today, tomorrow we're having a visitor come in a wheelchair. So we had a whole discussion about walkers, wheelchairs, canes, seeing eye dogs. People who are different who need these tools to get by. And many kids didn't know what these things were, but some did. So it was an interesting conversation, and I wanted to prepare them that Brian is coming, he's in a wheelchair right away, they want to know, why is he in a wheelchair? And I found some books that I could read that related to this. But it is very interesting because all of us only know what we know.
Yeah.
Based on our experience, but as adults, we can read about things that we haven't experienced firsthand and we know that they are real. But these kids just know their own real reality.
And most of the time, even we adults too, if we've never experienced it, then we just think what we know is what we know, and this is how life is. And whereas there are some other situations that actually have other experiences and situations that we may not be aware of. So that was an interesting new thing that I learned, and for me, reading that just changed my whole entire knowledge about rights and about the fact that there are so many varieties that I've never even seen. No. Okay, so thank you for that. How about Fatma? How about you? What do you think there are other like about? Yes, that's good. So we do a lot of prediction activity. Some of you who teach little kids, that's one of the things that you do first is to show them the book, to show them what's even happening in the picture on the front in the title page. What's happening in the picture? What do they see? What do they guess would happen in the book based on the picture? And you can get them to make those predictions. Well, when you read the book to see whether those predictions are right. So then you can teach some vocabulary words and teach the meaning of it so that when you actually get to it in the book, then they can understand it, so they know that this is what that means. So again, on having an understanding of all those strands with the language comprehension is so key. But that's, as you remember from the video that we watched, that's not the only thing that matters. You know, we teach the coding and all of that, but then there's just so much that goes into that. Okay, so how about you?
One of the things I talked about was what happens when you practice with comprehension. I saw it in the video when you practice with comprehension, and the skills that go along with vocabulary become increasingly specific. And when they practice the coding, and the skills that go along with the coding, they become increasingly automatic. And when they are increasingly automatic and increasingly
Exactly. So what's the takeaway for you? So somebody who's going to teach reading.
Well, I didn't understand what increasingly sometimes came to the realization that instead of assuming that I know everything that I know about people, and find
Yeah, and that's and I'm glad that you pointed that out because there are so many things we don't know and that we think we know. And the secret to more knowledge is for you to research things that you don't understand. And that's why I put in the, what I sent out to all of you, that if you cannot say something in your own words, then it means you don't get it, you don't have it yet. So it means you have to go back and either revisit, watch videos, go and dig on the internet, see, so what do I not know about this thing? I really want to understand it, because that is how you actually build knowledge for yourself. Never assume, and one reading is really never enough. You have to keep going back again and again and teasing it out until you actually understand it. So, how about Eva? Yeah, so you have soft skills that are in different stands. Soft skills that, okay, and you have the soft skills with language, comprehension. And you need to make all of the soft skills for good. So there is a lot in terms of learning about what's involved in reading for you to actually make sure that you're focusing and targeting all parts, not just one. Thank you. And June, how about you? What was your takeaway from the science of reading? And June, can you hear me? Okay. Okay. You trying to? Okay. Do you want me to come back to you in a few minutes? Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'll do that. So you need to tell us what you wrote for your paragraph. Okay, Maria, how about you?
About like what you said was like truth, and I also didn't know that what Max was saying, that it was like physical things and just like what Max was saying. It's whatever. Going back, like not being there in the room, like physically. And so I remember like growing up, reading was so like easy for me. And my sister, it was so hard. And I always feel like it was so hard. Like the letters are there, so it should be easy. Some of the words, things of that sort. So I never knew that it was that serious, like things going on. Yeah. So I didn't know like reading was like an actual physical like development, like like obviously like learning, but like physically the brain.
So what is the takeaway for you from the videos that you watched?
So I guess like just as a teacher having that more understanding that, everyone's not at the same level, actual, like brain, like I'm trying to, what's the word, like neurologically, I guess, like not everyone's connected or has hit those parts, so just navigating.
So, if I were 4 years old, I didn't know how to read, and reading is really hard for me, what would be, what would you, how would you help me? How would you help me?
Well, I'm first trying to understand like what exactly where we need to start, like can we sound out the letters, those letters, like are you able to blend them sound together, like you know what I mean? Like I remember like having like breaking up the words and talking about breaking up the words and stuff like that. So just figuring out where they are, kind of what they're. I think it takes a lot of patience, but And for
Yeah, okay. So what did you discover as the issue with your sister? Because if you're twins, so if reading came really easy for you and for your sister it didn't, were you able to figure out why it was difficult for her?
we later found out she had dyslexia. So like, I don't know what exactly that might look like for her in her eyes. I remember like, she still talks about like the B and the D, like flipping or something like that. So maybe that's what she was saying, you know, the kids, stuff like that. But I just feel like it wasn't as easy, like starting off, sounding out, like, and blending, like, the word was stop. Like she couldn't put this, like, I don't know, it was something like disconnecting it, like, right.
Okay.
Because now, like, when she reads, she sounds like she literally, I can hear her sounding out the word, like putting it all together, like in order.
Yeah, so, and you hit on something important, and that is that part of the reason that some people may not be able to actually read is because of some other issue I'm like, and remember that one of those strands we saw last week was neuroscience. Yeah, and remember that when it the video that we watched, pointing on the fact that reading is not just something that just but it has psychological roots to it, but it also has neuroscience to it. So the question is, I mean, we all develop at different rates. We all have different issues that we come with into the reading, and not everybody will be at the same place. And in your case, Maria is a twin. She has a twin sister, and and you could see that for her sister, reading was very difficult. And that's because we were just not perceiving those letters in the same way that a lot of kids would. So, so that is what we really need to try and figure out as well, right? We need to figure that out. What's really going on with the students, and put it with something more that we need to. There's some kind of intervention that they need to be able to just don't assume that you know what's going on with this kid. There's an intervention that needs to happen. Does the child need to need some other intervention? There's something that we need to find out. So there are so many things that are happening in the brain. And things, we saw the pictures of the brain that we saw in the videos. And it's not everybody's brain that works. And somebody there will be some other example issues in the brain that we don't know about. So that becomes really key. Okay, so let's go to Alex. How about you, Alex?
I kind of talked about, I think we kind of about the strategic and the automaticity processing. So kind of what she was saying, can you understand what it is? So like automaticity is kind of being able to recognize words in a like fast pace, and then strategic is kind of using your metacognition in reading. So it's being able to understand what you're reading and being able to put that on paper or express it.
Okay, does everybody understand what strategic is? Okay, so maybe that's something you all need to go back and check into. That's what. So don't assume that you know. Don't assume that you know. You may see the word on the page, but you need to go back and check. Okay, how about you, Mandy?
Mine was a combination of almost everybody's. I kind of talked about what she had mentioned about with the ropes combining.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, I talked about the rope and how that rope have those different kind of strategies for the language comprehension and the other one.
What's that? What's the other?
The Is I don't remember. The first one that's in the beginning,
The one you're talking about, I
Yeah.
just want to know if you know the name.
I forgot it.
You forgot it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to go back and make sure that that is something that sticks in your
Mhm.
brain. So, there are some people I haven't called on, and I'm gonna call on you. So, you need to be prepared with your answer because the assignment is for the whole class. And June, I'd like to come back to you now, and then I'm going to go to Amy and to, okay, go ahead. Yes, yeah. What did you write for your paragraph? Mhm. Or you can just tell us. You don't have to read it. I can't hear you from here, sorry. Yeah, just use your teacher voice. Yeah, we call it teacher voice. I'm sure you have it in Korea too, so. Mhm. Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot, okay? And I'm going to think about Korea. If you are teaching in Korea and your mother has a preschool and she teaches very little kids, how old are the kids? Is it kindergarten or preschool? Okay, kindergarten. So are the kids reading when they come to her school? Are they already reading? They can read a little bit. So how does your mother teach reading to them? How does she start? What does she do to teach reading to them? Because again, the Korean language is very different from the alphabetic. I'm going to explain alphabetic principle later on, but the language is different, right? Okay, so how does she teach reading? Uh-huh. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. From preschool. So when you were in preschool, how did your teacher teach you? Do you remember? I know it was. I know it's different in Korea. So anyway, here in the United States, we have something that's called the alphabetic principle. Did you read that in the chapter? Did anybody read that? For the alphabetic principle? Anyone? Okay, I need you to look that up about what the alphabetic principle is. What is that?
Any ideas from Fred? Go ahead. then.
I guess, there are 44 sounds. So those letters are combinations of letters. Make sounds, and there was this video that I'm about how to remember words. And early on, starting in kindergarten, I don't use sight words in pre-K, but children learn sight words, the short, simple words that you see again and again, like the word a or the word the. And I took notes on that video and I said, we do not write words, we write a sequence of characters designed to represent a sequence of sounds. So we come to understand as young children that a certain pattern of letters creates a certain sound. Developed word.
Right. Thanks. So we need to, if you didn't watch that video, you need to go and take another look at that video. And it really describes the alphabetic principle. And that's the fact that, especially in the English language, and it's probably not gonna occur in any of the Eastern languages. You probably will not see it in Chinese, you probably will not see it in Korean language or maybe an Indian language, like Hindi, for example. You probably will not see the alphabetic principle because they have characters that represent sound. But in English, we have letters that are used to represent sound. And so the alphabetic principle has that we have either the letters or a series of letters. You know, for example, as in phone, you know, it's represented by 2 letters. But the alphabetic principle is what I'm trying to explain here. And this alphabetic principle is showing you that there are letters, either a single letter or a series of letters that will represent a sound. So for example, we have the sound. And actually that's represented by how many letters? What? Which one's P? Okay, but is that the only one? Which other one? F. Also represents that sound. So you have this sound that's represented by 2 sets of letters. You have the PH sound as a phone, and then you have the sound. And so you have to figure out which one are they talking about. You know, so when it gets to spelling, you see that little kids, they will not use the PH sound for phone. They will use the F for phone, and they will just write FONE or FON. That's it, that's their phone. Because they do not know yet that the PH makes the sound. So it is very, very fascinating. And so the alphabetic principle is for you to understand that one single letter or series of letters are representing a certain sound. So we have 26 letters in the alphabet, and then we have these 44 sounds. So I mean, what do you do with that? Because you don't have a letter that's corresponding, every letter corresponding to sound. Now, with Spanish language, it's a bit different because you have letters that are corresponding to the sound directly, but it's not the same with English. And so 26 letters makes 44 sounds. Like, how does that happen? So, but but you have to be thinking about, okay, this series of letters, okay, what sound does it represent? And when your students write for you,
have to figure out. Oh, okay. They will not write PH for you. They will write PH for you maybe by the time you get to third or fourth grade, but they will not write it for you in kindergarten. They will represent it with X's. That is what they're hearing. So that's the alphabetic principle. So you need to go back and understand that. Okay, I have two more people. Amy, how about you?
I can't get to that yet.
Okay, okay, all right. So how about you? You mean Mandy? Oh, Malaya? Oh, okay.
How about the grade? Is that more? Just the developing,
Mhm.
and so connected to how people changing. I don't know.
Are you trying to figure it out, Jose?
No, 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 no.
Okay. Are you able to put it in your own words? Or are you still trying to understand it?
Yes.
Okay. You're still trying to understand.
Mhm.
Okay, so go back again and again. So this should be your strategy for all of you. And for me too. That there is something that you don't understand, you need to go back again and again. To continue to understand it. That's what the focus is. Concentrate and take away all distractions. Try and understand what it's saying. So, because this is really key for you to know. Um, let's think of the science. Why the other part of the assignment is why is it important? Why should you even know about that? Because really, if you don't know why you should know it, then you will be doing a disservice to the students that you're teaching your little kids. If you don't know that the coding part is just one part, and it doesn't lead to reading comprehension. Because there are kids who can code, we call them word callers, and they will be able to sound out all the words, and they will actually be able to, when they read for you, they will be able to actually read it by sounding out the words and the letters. But if you ask them comprehension questions, they will not be able to tell you what, because they don't comprehend it. But in literacy, we call them word callers, because they're just calling out the words, but they don't have any understanding of what it means. For them to be able to reach that reading comprehension, we watched the video last week where it can't just depend on only the decoding part. You also have to look at the other strand that has to do with language comprehension and all of the strands that go with language comprehension. For students to come to an understanding of it. And your goal is to help your students. And the new thing they're reading too, because there are so many new people reading. Especially in defense. That's something you can't do. If you have a expectation, what does that mean? What does what does it mean? If you have an explanation behind, what is it mean? And if you can be able to yeah, that's where you do your read aloud. But we also need to know the meaning of what the seeds in the body. So there is a lot of writing on those two sets of terms to start with. But
How to get there. If I'm trying to help you with the then you have to be searching for. There's something else that we have been thinking about here. The page of the video. Is there something else that we need to be? Is there something else that we need to be looking for here? This person needs something to do with it. So, but there are strategies teaching for me. Is that we cannot continue because of this set of sounds or this language that represents. And that becomes confusing. So it's very important to use something new. For the system. So let's take a quick time and then we'll come back. And so look at and I'm taking notes on who is in the class today.
Yeah, I'm fine.
No. That's like a much shorter. She gives us this.
Yeah. No, right.
In PPS, probably check it like state by state or by for very young children, there's only. No, but there's some more. Is it answer? But if your child is in the going of this program, there's probably I don't know. No, my son is in surprised, but like, teacher last week, and she was telling me, like, I know the people in my house, but tomorrow I'll bring it. So I don't remember that name. But like, she took from, baptized at the beginning, and the first 3 weeks, just to keep it, coming from this way. Yeah. Some assessments, they have different names. But, they become like, just a living to people. And people stands for the nine pillars of building every living place. We have to let that on the so it's not really good. So now the time the things were using something that has so the last match of the body and I remember I think this was this or some of the kids people has those things they are looking for level knowledge, they are looking for spring knowledge, they are looking for the knowledge of something, they are looking to see, I think to match, they are looking to see, the sound that is that, there are 6 different categories that you test. So, everything that's, so maybe we can move on and but then you're not all. So you have to go back and help them to practically reinforce the ones they don't. And then you are looking to see can look the letter and sound or something. Like that. Like F makes that sound. Remember that F makes the last. Of course, you will not get to be that is very hard. Just
and she said even like, it's like, she's like, I don't, I expect all these kids to be, and like at the beginning of second grade already, because they just took it and, they're coming back to the page, and then sometimes they can go back to work, but they start. But the thing is that like, they retake themselves on January, and then like, they do like 4 months. Yeah, it's like, that's also weird.
That's what's true. So they take things in January as a baseline. And then the teacher will see what the kids. Okay, which kid knows this and which kid doesn't do that. And he or she will focus their teaching. Routine students, so that they can. These are the students. I mean, it's not yet. Okay. So, but thinking about it, so that you can focus on areas that maybe 4 kids don't know, maybe that's what you found.
And like, on the second grade one, but not the second grade, but like, it was kind of, like, a relief, like, to know that, like, there are like, 11 students, but like, almost none of them having to work from it. We really had at that time, like, we getting, like, to look to understand the math problem. Even though they just kind of read really fast and they don't go back to it, they rush in with a friend, like, you see who's going to get it, and then they got out. So I'm like, you knew this, if you know how to add, you don't have to just go back to it, so.
And then they will test, so after that. But the ones that you do at the same test again. For the. And really that's what's very important. Consistently and this is the moment about these things. Yeah, there is. We have just half an hour of reading for almost 7 minutes. So please come in. Yeah, I noticed that this online to put it. Yeah. So, but then there are some other programs out there, especially if your child is, not your child, if the child is really struggling, but sometimes it's not. I don't know if you want. They have very dedicated, just to focus on and do that, maybe it's like.
So you look that, maybe?
Constitution, I think that in the struggle and the area, because I've seen that a lot. Not the bank.
No, I
Not the Huntington Bank, it was TCF that became Huntington. Not the bank, but they have the program that Huntington. They, it's just, they're tutors, they act as tutors. But they have dedicated teachers. Yes, thank you, Huntington. Yeah. And they're very helpful, and they have teachers for all of the different courses that they charge in this program.
I remember
high school.
my oldest, explained it, but like back when he was like in 5th grade, that's when he did a little help with that. He was going to syllabus, which it was like something like, like those places.
Okay, Silver Learning Center, yeah, that's like Huntington. No, those places can be very, very helpful. And but you need reinforcement at home as well, just to make sure that they're actually doing what they're supposed to. Because it can be very expensive. So.
And this is like, like for pre-K, kinder, like this is like literally the foundation. Just,
oh yeah. Yeah. So if you can afford it, I would say definitely last thing is like people. Sometimes it takes a while. Especially with reading.
That's when I was kind of like, you know, not at games, but I didn't like these, no child.
Because sometimes I think it is struggle and competitiveness and then you like this. Yeah. Books with following and they don't know the material. And it works.
Yeah, that's a real issue with that.
So we wanted to look at a link today. And, if I, let me ask you a question, everybody, plus plus?
What is the difference between phonemic awareness and phonics? We've been alluding to that, but we really have not. I just want to know that you know. What is the difference between phonological awareness and phonics? The difference. I want to know this. I want to know that you know. Remember earlier we identified the difference. Yes, that is true. So how is it different from phonics? Thinking. Keep thinking. Think. You want to try on it?
Is the relationship between letters and sounds?
Which one is that? And how is it different from chronological? Right. Everybody. Chronological awareness is all about sound. Has nothing to do with letters. So when you go to do your activities for me, for those literacy portfolios, if you put letters to phonological awareness or anything, I'm going to mark it wrong because phonological awareness has nothing to do with letters. It's all about sound. What you have. The timing, onset and lines, it is alliteration, it is syllables, it is what it all has to do with sound. But when you get to phonics, phonics is the sound and letter match. Phonics is where you introduce letters to represent sound. But in phonological awareness is the awareness of language. It gets sound from the beginning to produce sound. And never about letters. The medium letters to represent sound, yes. But the moment you start using letter T, you are moving into the territory. So you need to know the difference between these two concepts. And that these are concepts that are going to come up again. Last week, I told you that I did the content test for the state, and these are the kinds of things I want to test. They wanted to know whether you knew for your awareness, you understand what it means. They want to know if you have that knowledge. They want to know if you know the difference between phonemic awareness and phonological awareness. And then they wanted to know if you know the difference between phonological awareness and phonics. So they give you different, what do you call that? They'll give you different options to see whether you can distinguish between the two. So you really need to know that you know that you know the differences between this terminology. So phonological awareness has nothing to do with letters. As soon as you see a letter start showing up, like the every letter of the alphabet, you have crossed the territory from phonological awareness into phonics. So keep that in mind. So when you do your literacy portfolio activities for your phonological awareness activities, you cannot be putting letters there. When I begin to see letters, I'm going to be thinking you're thinking phonics. Okay. So that is the difference between these two terms. And last week we talked about the difference between phonological awareness and phonemic awareness, which in itself is need to distinguish between the two. One is general, and the other one is whereas phonics and phonological awareness, including phonemic awareness, all about the same letter. That's it. Nothing about letters. Even if somebody starts saying, okay, so what if I show this letter to match its sound? Yes, true, you can do that, but are you doing that for phonics or are you doing that for phonics? You need to, the boundaries are so thin. It's just like you crossing from let me see, where in Chicago. Crossing from Chicago to Evanston on Howard Street. The line is so thin. But if you don't know the difference, you're going to be mistaken. And so you need to know that you need that what the difference. So phonics. What is phonics? Phonics is a system for teaching reading that focuses on teaching the individual sounds of the language, of English language, and how they relate to letters. So with phonics, they're still talking about sound, but then they're talking about the relationship between sounds and letters when you get to phonics. And that's what it is. Whereas phonological awareness, we're just looking at sounds only. But in this instance, we're looking at how they relate to it. So think about that. So for example, with the phonics approach, we learned that the B sound. Do you remember what I said about these lines last week? Does anybody remember? When you write a letter and you put these backslashes, what does it mean? Yes, that's the sound. So that is how in writing, you show that you are talking about sound. That is with the, so here we're talking about sound. So, but since we cannot put sound on a page, you have to show that that's what you're talking about somehow. So the only way to represent sound is by these backslashes. Anytime you see a letter with these backslashes on, you're talking about the sound. If you see this, for example, without backslashes, you're talking about the letter. But when you see the backslashes, you're talking about the sound. So, and the example here is that the B sound, when you hear it, first of all, we learn to hear it. But, give me a word that starts with B for this. Ball. Olivia. Emma. Ball. Christian. Bananas. Okay, so good. Give me a word that starts with home. Oh, good. Alex. Headphones. Oh no. Freaking. Hot. Okay, good. So that's it. Give me a word that starts with Mandy.
This is the K or the C? The kite or a cat?
That's a good one. That's a good question.
Because
Guess what? There are some sounds that also starts with, there are some words that start with, that do not start with C's. And what kind of words are those? I think you mentioned one of them.
I said cat and maybe a
kite, for example. Kite is starts with,
but
the letter is not the letter is not C, but the sound is. So that's to tell you that there are some sounds that represent different letters, right? And I think we mentioned that too much. Like for example, yes, it may be for snake or for city. Two different letters, one sound. The same thing with phone and phone and the phone. So you can see where some of the confusion can lie with phonics. And so you have to be thinking, what I'm saying is you need to teach your students our facts. Okay, so we learn to hear the sound, we learn to recognize it, and then we learn that this sound is represented by the letter B. So this sound here, this one, that, that's, that has the backslashes here, is represented by this letter. So this is not, this is but sound, but this is the letter that is represented. And that's the, one of the things about the alphabetic principle. So, and then with the phonics approach, we learn about the B sound. And then, you get to hear, for example, there are so many types of phonics, and I'm going to explain each of them. There's one that's called systematic phonics. And the phonics instruction here is all about helping to develop readers, understand how letters are linked to sounds. So we talked about just how easy it was for Malaya to be able to read. She was able to connect letters to sound very easily, but not all students are able to do that. And if you keep trying this and they're not successful, that's when you begin to find out, do an assessment to see, okay, what's going on here? And is there need for intervention with the student? So, but this is one of the roles you're going to play, and this is where the science of reading fits into this systematic phonics, that you have to know how to help students develop this carefully, because this is not something we're not born with this. Nobody is. What we are born with in our brains is this part of our left brain, left hemisphere of our brain, that is responsible for language. We are born with that. But we are not born with having an understanding that but is represented by the B. By B. No, we are not born with that. So somebody needs to teach us about that. And then there's this one that talks in synthetic. And synthetic phonics is where students can convert letters into sound. So for example, it would be the very opposite of the other one, of the one that we had before. So, so 80. Tell me what sound is properly cat? Okay, good. Jackie, tell me what sound you hear when I say meal. Okay, good. Okay, tell me what sound you hear when I say small. So we're looking at words, beginning words, initial words that start with a certain sound. So we're trying to make that conversion. You can do the whole word, for example. If I say ball, you can ask the kids to tell you what are all the sounds in ball. So let's do acacia. So ball, what are the sounds you can hear in ball? Okay, can you say that again? Okay, good. But here you have two L's. How many letters do we have in ball? Represented by how many sounds? Can you see? And that's sometimes where you have confusion with phonics. Like, should I, what? Should I have 3 sounds? It looks like 4 sounds, but something. Get some examples. Okay. So, Bethany, tell me all the sounds you can hear in mic. How many letters how many sounds can you hear? 3. Represented by how many letters? Olivia, tell me how many sounds you can hear in Olivia. Okay. Okay, so how many sounds are there? How many letters are there? Your name. Six. Okay, so she has 6 letters that are represented by 6 different sounds in her name. And so those are the kinds of things that you do here. So you're looking at letters and you're asking kids to now convert it. Those individual sounds are. So, and then they can blend these sounds out to form words. But last week we had this acronym boxes. So here we have so we can say, so tell me, okay, so we can put cat, so this represents sounds, so we call them sound boxes also, but the person who invented it is called acronym. So that's why they call them acronym boxes, but we just call them sound boxes. But then you get the kids to blend. So can you say this with me? Okay, and what does it say? Okay. And you just have to tell them that this is something that you have to consider. You can also do something like man, an example. Okay. So can somebody tell me what this is? Okay. So those are just examples of what you can do when you convert letters to sounds. You can do sound boxes to help kids learn about that. So in synthetic phonics, children are focusing on learning the sounds in the English language first. Then they learn the letter sound correspondences, like which letter corresponds to the sound. That's why letters need to come second. The sounds go first. That's why we are doing things like rhyming, we are doing alliteration. That's why we are doing things like onsets and rhyme, but, at, bat, at, mat. We're doing onsets and rhymes, but we do sounds first, but then we get them to understand that there are some letters that are so which letters will correspond to the sound. So and then once they know the letter sound correspondences, then we get them to blend the sounds together, like the one that we did here. So where they do the blending. And then we also call that synthesis, that is pushing things together. So that's synthetic phonics. And then there's something also called analytic phonics. So with analytic phonics, when you get analytic phonics, you're looking at the analyzation, analysis, like you're looking at analysis of the sound. So because really what you're doing is it's really helping students to understand how to analyze phonics. They need to analyze the words that are represented with those letters. So so in analytic phonics, when they're analyzing words, they're doing something like extensive work, where they're looking for clues and they're looking for cues that will help them to figure out the symbols or the letters. So if you had like the long word, and with Olivia, that's 6 letters right there. And if I imagine even Evangelina, that's even longer. Um, yeah, then helping them here to be able to sort of detect, okay, how many sounds are here and how many letters are represented. Some of the other examples that I give where, okay, so we hear three sounds, but then it's represented by 4 letters, like half of them. Those are, those are the kinds of things that we begin to look at with phonics. Let's take the word make as an example. Can somebody tell me the sounds in make? Again, I can't hear you. Okay, so let's put it on the board. So here is the word. Okay. How many sounds do we have here? Can you tell me what they are? Oh, yeah, we have 4 letters. How come? Sorry? True, yes, and that is true, and that is one of those irregularities. That is phonics. That is why it can be very confusing. So that this is the silent word when we say that. So we have silent A's. So if you look at this, it looks like I'm saying that. But actually, you have 4 letters. That's making 3 sounds. So that's one of the irregularities of phonics. And but actually, even this is regular to a large extent. There are some places where it is just silent. And so that's one of the things. All right. So you're helping students how to do receptive. So, and then there's something called embedded phonics. And this is the phonics that they used to teach when my kids went to school. And when my now adult children went to school, this is just phonics that is integrated into reading and writing process. It is not systematically taught. It is something that you teach as maybe students are doing reading work or writing work, but it's never systematic. And that is why a lot of kids miss that. And a lot in their generation really struggle with them. As I mentioned to you several 2 weeks ago or so, we had to really work on to make sure that they know that. So, but this is more implicit rather than explicit. So the systematic one, the analysis one, the synthetic one, they're very, very systematic. It's something that you build into your classroom activities daily. The implicit one, yes, you teach it, but it's not as systematic. You don't have any, you do have a plan, I hope you do, but it is not as explicit as the systematic. And then, one of the things that, one game or one activity that you can use is use pictures of videos to teach sounds. So, there are many videos on YouTube that actually teach sound, that we can, and I'm going to get to do that next. Just for games, teach sounds, and then just sing along as well, teach the speak sounds. And also just movements, where you do a lot of moving. That's why I say don't do table work only for kids. They need to be moving, they need to be jumping, they need to be hopscotching, they need to be hopping on things for them to really engage. For them to do. So very quickly, I want to put you into groups of two. And I want you to look inside your basket and look on your board with your partner. I'm going to look for two activities to teach one. Two. So each of you work together. Really and partner work together. You and me can work with it. Evangelina can work with you can work with Amelia. Henry work with Olivia and Gladys. And so you can, okay? And so you're working with them. So I want you to look for two activities to teach one. So open up your laptop and look for two activities. So I'm giving you 5 minutes.
Some responses. Is it a big one? You want to see it too. Chapter 7. Six. Probably it's like towards the bottom. We can do letter bag. It's put different letters, alphabet, any words, easy words, you just pick out the bag. Yeah. So it's like a whole group of figure, maybe like with small groups, and they pull it out of the bag and then get your word, and they sound it out. And then they blend it up. Okay. You need to find how many? Two? Two, yes.
Your group has found two. Up your hand. Are you ready? How about you? How about you? You have two? You have two? Okay, give me one more. So one more minute. Sarah. let me know when you find it. Mhm. Are you ready, Alex?
Sure. Did you find it? I already found one, so.
First one. The other one also. Two. The first one.
Whatever you, which one do you want?
So this one. The sound fish.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get started. And like we did last week, we want to come to this one and we want to share one activity for the farm. Come on up, please. Thank you.
So the first thing that we found was letter swap. So basically you get a fly swatter and you'll have to make any letters on the table and you'll sand it, but also little fish. So let's look here. And maybe it's the sound and then the kid has to. So now we're looking far down.
Are you looking for sun or are you looking for a sun and letter match?
This was sound and letter.
Okay, yes. Because I hear you say sound and here we are talking about phonics. So there must be pairing between the sound and the letter when you are talking about phonics. If you're just talking about sound, you are going back to phonics. Do you see where I see the thin line?
Yes.
Okay, so keep that in mind. Thank you. Thank you. All right, partner and ladies, come on up, please.
Okay, so the first one we found was a dice game. You have a white block and you write the letter on the block. And then you roll it and you have to say what sound the letter is.
Okay,
So if you roll it and then you found C, they would have to say.
okay, good. Yes.
And then another one that we found is like for the kids that like to be outside. So like with chalk, kind of like the lettering, like write out the word, like let's say hat, and then have the child go like each letter. Say the sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it takes a while to, you have to try and make sure you sort it out in your mind so that you can really get it done. I know it can be very confusing, believe me, I know. Even for me, teaching this for years, even at the content of I have to look like, what am I reading? What I came out of that exam with was, oh my gosh. If I had to do double takes, I wonder what my students will be thinking when they're doing this for the first time. So, but you have to make sure that you get it done. Okay, so thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Bethany and Acacia, your turn.
I found one on Reading Rockets, and it was called Word Ladders. And it said you,
Yeah, go ahead. Orange one there.
you draw a ladder and you start with a word at the bottom. And so it said, line. And then the challenge for your student is to change only one sound and make a new word. So, you could change the to
Okay.
and it's,
Oh,
and then you could change the to, and it becomes 5. And so you could keep going.
Yeah.
Like 10.
10 words on a word.
That would be really challenging for
That's,
kids.
it said it was for second grade.
Yes, for second grade. I
So,
was
yeah,
thinking
I
about that.
don't think I
Couldn't do
could
that
do
for
that.
kindergarten.
No.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I found an activity called obstacle.
Uh-huh.
So the teacher will take a ball and throw the object on the ball. And the students in a circle and they can pass the ball. The students can catch the ball and the person will go south, south, and if you want to stand up, that helps over the back.
Yes, that's good. Okay, that's really good. That would be a really fun game, actually. When you're bouncing balls around. Okay, your turn. Come on up. Okay. Okay, find an object that starts with B. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, bull or bear. Yeah. Yeah, I
And
know
the other one was circle, and then the picture start with, so like big.
I like your pig. Really good, Olivia. I didn't know you could draw like that. You draw better than me for sure, but I can tell that that's a pig.
Stretch.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's really good. So can you see that, that you have,
Yes, you have to pick from the three and then to pick the correct word. And there's a picture corresponding.
yes,
Then do it too.
yeah, okay, that's good. Do you have a second one or no?
Well, that was the
Okay,
first one.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's good. Thank you. All right.
Oh, I'll read it.
Okay, sure. Okay, Malaya and Eva, come on up, please.
So the first one was about like Japanese, but they didn't call it a migrant, they called it a chain.
Okay,
And they use words like, they weren't like four-letter words, it was so easy to like cat, and they changed one to rat.
okay,
Those are the things that, but it was like a chain.
okay. So like building words,
Yeah.
like a building words activity where you're changing one letter and making something. So there's a fun activity where you can go from a mat to a fox. So you have to build up to that. You will change, can you imagine changing mat to a fox? It's going to take a lot of letters for you to get to a fox from mat, because you have to be changing one at a time until you actually get to fox. But again, that's a very complex skill, not for kindergarten, but for older kids. But you can do maybe 2 or 3 that that little ones will be able to do. Like you can do math to where they're changing just maybe the first in the initial letter, from mat to fat, from fat to sat and stuff like that. So the burden they have is just that first initial letter. And so they don't have to struggle so much. But as your children are advancing, your students are advancing, you want to move them to maybe the last letter, they change the first letter, and then they change the last letter, and then you just build up from that. So you can make this activity as complex as possible. But think about the age of your students and their skill level, and just decide for yourself, okay, I'm not going to go from mat to fox. I'm going to just do that initial letter. And they can just, all they have to bother with is just that first one. They don't have to worry about the other one. Okay, Eva, how about you?
Potatoes, so I'll be choosing in the circle, and then in the teacher will put like a button in the middle of the something, and then does the teacher will start a potato, and then have the potato, and
And then until the teachers.
The potato is the box.
No, it's just a.
Oh, a real potato?
Yeah. and
Oh,
then-
okay. Okay.
They can put it, that's the potato until it stops. And then like first the flour that has the, and with the potato. That's the water.
Okay. And then, and do what with it?
Just say the song. For example, the tea,
What fun is that? Okay, that's good. So, but then you bring a real potato to class. Okay, thank you. That's good. How about your turn? Your turn.
So, we will start placing the backpack. It could be in front of the room, the centers. And so place objects that have so sound, or how, take the cup. So they place a picture on the backpack. Other objects.
How something? Cup. Oh, cup. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant cake. Okay.
No, and then, you kind of have to organize them in each cell,
Okay.
that match.
Does that make sense to everybody?
I found a flashcard thing. And, it's, then in the middle, there's like a stack of like the little card sounds in the middle. And then, it'll be, they have it on the table and then they have to try to mix the sounds perfect.
Oh, I see.
It's that kind of thing.
So the flashcards, they have to pick one. Do they pick one or do they just go as fast as possible?
There, somebody, one of the person will start first and then they will try to make that sound, and then when they get that sound, they get that card.
Oh, I see.
That kind
Can you see just this plethora of activities? Because there really isn't one that is, thank you.
that, all the activities here are there, and there's no one does the thing, because there's no box that you can use
To teach phonics in the class. From jumping to, even the hopscotch, you can do that. Where they're hopping to a letter and.
The real potato.
They have to make the sound of it, things like that. So that is really, really fun. So think about ways that you can engage with like that, or bouncing balls, bouncing things around, and once, they see it later, they have to see it. So letter sound match is phonics. Sound only is phonological awareness. So some of these activities you can do with phonological awareness too. It's just that it do not have the letters. What sound you hear. So you can do like a choo-choo train in the class where you're somebody can be the caboose, somebody can be the engine, and you're asking kids, what sound can you hear? I'm looking for this sound. Look for sounds for this in the classroom. They can tell you the sound. And you have to be very strategic. You can place different kinds of objects in your classroom that will have that sound. And you can say, well, I start with my little eye, something that starts with can, this, for example. And if you see that sound, tell me and you can join the train. Choo-choo! And you go just go around the class like that. Everybody is able to join your train. So just lots of really fun activities for kids. So, but get it in your mind that phonics have to do with letter sound matching. Sound only is represented by. Well, that's for today. And so we have one lesson behind. And that is we need to do activity, which is what we have done today, but I wanted us to make sure. But phonics is phonics is also related to spelling as well. So that is something that we all need to do. So I hope you have posted your
the science of reading. Did everybody do that?
Yeah.
Thank you. You can do, but you have to have it, you need to stay here with me. I'm just kidding. So, I did, I wrote them down. Everybody. I have your names of everybody with them. I hope it's not raining.
That was actually beautiful. Thank you.
guys. Thank you so much. I took up with. I'm kind of like the meeting. I love getting.